December 7, 2014, from EverBank Field in Jacksonville, Florida. It was an AFC South Division rivalry game between the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Texans would start off with the ball first in this game. They had it on their own 20 for their first possession, and they would end up actually punting the ball after 4 plays. Ryan Fitzpatrick was sacked by Smith and Marks on 3rd and 6 from the 24. So they punted the ball from the 24, and now the Jaguars would take over for the first time in this game. They had it on their own 28 on 2nd and 10 from the 28. Ended up being a penalty against the defense. They made it a first down on the 33. Then on 2nd and 4 from the 39, Bortles ran for 7 yards in the first down to the 46. They then ended up faced with a 4th and 2. They would line up, but they ended up having to delay a game, and out would come the punting unit. So he tried to draw them off sides, but didn't work. So now the Texans just did the Titans game. The Texans now had it with 9 minutes left in the first. It was on the 15. Fitzpatrick hit Hopkins for a 10-yard reception. It's now a first down on the 25. Fitzpatrick then was sacked by Marks for a 4-yard loss. Foster then got dropped for a 1-yard loss by Marks and Colvin. It was now 3rd and 15. Then they lost 5 more yards, and on 4th and 20, the punting unit came out. They punted the ball from the 15, and now Jacksonville got the ball for the second time, this time at midfield on the 50. And on 3rd and 7 from the Houston 47, Blake Bortles hit Lee for a 15-yard reception, the first down that brought the ball to the Houston 32. Then on 2nd and 1 from the 23, Denard Robinson ran it 16 yards for a first down on the 7 and made it 1st and goal. Then on 2nd and goal from the 4, Blake Bortles hit Hurns for the 4-yard touchdown as the Jacksonville Jaguars put the first points on the scoreboard with the score Jacksonville 7, Houston 0. So now the Texans would take over with about 3.5 minutes left in the third. They had the ball on their own 20, and on first down, Arian Foster ran it 51 yards for the first down, bringing the ball across midfield all the way to the Jacksonville 29 for the first down. Then on 3rd and 7, though, an incomplete pass would bring out Randy Bullock to attempt a 44-yard field goal. It was up. It was good. The Texans were down the scoreboard with the score Jacksonville 7, Houston 3. So now the Jaguars would take over with a little less than a minute and a half in the first. They had on their own 20. They would end up going 3 and out as they punted the ball on the final play of the first quarter. So after 1 quarter of play, the score was Jacksonville 7, Houston 3. So now to open up the second quarter, the Texans had the ball on their own 48 right there at midfield after a 21-yard return by Martin on the punt. And so now on first down, Fitzpatrick went to Andre Johnson for a 19-yard reception. A first down at the 33 of Jacksonville. They went to the no huddle. They handed it to Foster out of the shotgun. He picked up 19 yards on the first down in the red zone at the Jacksonville 14. Then on 3rd and 5 from the 9, an incomplete pass, but there was a penalty against Jacksonville, a personal foul. And now it's 1st and goal on the 4. And so now on 2nd and goal from the 4 after a no gain by Foster on first down, Fitzpatrick ended up running in himself for the 4-yard touchdown. And the Texans were now in the lead for the first time in this game with the score Houston 10, Jacksonville 7. So now the Jaguars would take over on their own 25. With less than 12 minutes left in the first half, they would end up faced with a 3rd and 8, and Toby Gerhardt ran it 9 yards for the first down. Houston took their first time out of the first half. It was a first down for Jacksonville on their own 36. And on 3rd and 6 from the 40 in the no huddle, Blake Bortles went to Lewis. He picked up 20 yards in the first down. Then on 2nd and 10 from the 40, a penalty against the Houston Texans for a personal foul would end up making a first down for the Jags on the 25 of Houston. But their drive would stall on the 16, and out would come Scobee. Scooby-Dooby-Doo would end up attempting a 33-yard field goal. It was up. It was good, and this game was tied at 10 apiece. So now Houston would take over with less than 6 minutes left in the first half. They had it on their own 17, and they ended up going 3 and out and punted it back to Jacksonville. So now Jacksonville took over with less than 5 minutes on the clock. They had it on their own 14. And on 2nd and 3 from the 21, in the no huddle, Lee ended up losing yards, and then he ended up picking up yards, and it was crazy. Anyway, now it's first down on the 25, and so now on 2nd and 5 from the 25, Blake Bortles went back to Lee, picked up 31 yards in the first down, that brought the ball across midfield into the Houston 44. Then on 2nd and 13 from the 47, Blake Bortles went to Lee for a 14-yard pass in the first down that brought the ball to the 33. Then on 3rd and 9 from the 32, Blake Bortles went to Toby Gerhardt for a 13-yard reception and a first down in the red zone on the 19. But that's where their drive stalled, and out would come Scooby-Dooby-Doo, just Scobee to attempt the 37-yard field goal. It was up. It was good. And now the Jags were back in the lead with the score. Jacksonville 13, Houston 10. So now the Texans take over with about a minute left before halftime. They head on their own 20, and they would go 3 and out. And so now they would punt it to Jacksonville. They would take over with about half a minute left on the clock on their own 30. But they ended up not getting anything really going, and the game came to the halftime intermission with the score Jacksonville 13, Houston 10. So now to start the third, the Jags would get the ball first. They start off on their own 25, and they ended up taking 6 plays just to go 5 yards. They were back and forth. They picked up a first down, actually, but then they went backwards. And that was when Blake Bortles was sacked on 3rd and 10 from the 35 by J.J. Watt. So J.J. Watt with the sack, and that's why they would punt the ball. That's why they only had 5 yards on the possession. So now Houston would take over on their own 16 with 12 minutes on the clock in the third. And they ended up with a penalty against Jacksonville, giving them a first down on the 21. And then on 3rd and 2, Foster ran for 5 yards and picked up a first down at the Houston 34. Then on 2nd and 10 from the 34, Johnson ran for 12 yards and the first down that brought the ball to the 46. They ended up being faced with a 4th and 1 on the Jacksonville 45. And Arian Foster ran it for a 3-yard run, first down, as they elected to go for it, taking a gamble, but they got it. And now it was first down on the 42 for Houston. Ryan Fitzpatrick then hit DeAndre Hopkins for an 11-yard reception. There ended up being a penalty, actually, against the Jags for an illegal contact, but it was declined. And so now it's first down on the 31. And then on 3rd and 5 from the 26, Fitzpatrick hit Johnson. He fumbled. Martin blew him up, but it was recovered by Hopkins, who was heads up. He jumped on it and went out. First down on the 15 as the Texans kept the ball. And then on 2nd and 8 from the 13, Fitzpatrick hit Martin. He picked up 12 yards as he brought the ball to the 1. This is now 1st and goal on the 1 for the Texans. And who else but Alfred blew for the 1-yard touchdown run as the Texans took back the lead by 4 with the score Houston 17, Jacksonville 13. So now the Jaguars would take over after the kickoff. Todman returned at 28 yards all the way to the 29. Then on 3rd and 11 from the 28, Blake Bortles out of the shotgun, and he was intercepted by Swearinger. And he gave the Texans the ball now in field goal range on the Jacksonville 26. And on 2nd and 10 from the 26, Ryan Fitzpatrick hit Griffin for a 25-yard reception that brought the ball to the 1. So that was 1st and goal. Foster lost a yard, but on 2nd and goal from the 2, Foster gained a yard, and the third quarter came to a close with the score Houston 17, Jacksonville 13. So to begin the fourth quarter, the Texans had a 4-point lead and the ball on the 1-yard line. It was 3rd and goal. Fitzpatrick tried to sneak it in out of the shotgun, and there was a no gain. He tried to sneak it over the left end. But now it was 4th and goal on the 1, and who else? They elected to go for it. They said, we're not going to settle for a field goal. We don't want to be up by just 7 points. We want to be up by 9. And so they gave it to who else but Arian Foster. 1-yard touchdown, Texans. And it was now Houston 24, Jacksonville 13. So now the Jaguars would take over after the kickoff with the ball on their own 33. They were faced with a 2nd and 15 from the 28, and Blake Bortles went for Lewis, but it was a roughing the passer call against the Texans, and now it was a first down on the 43. but that's where their drive stalled after 3 straight incompletions, and out came the punting unit to punt the ball to the Texans with 13.5 minutes on the clock. Houston now had it on their own 20. Then on 2nd and 5 from the 25, Ryan Fitzpatrick hit DeAndre Hopkins for a 28-yard reception. That brought the ball across midfield into the Jacksonville 47. So now it's first down the 47. Then on 3rd and 12 from the 49, Ryan Fitzpatrick went to Arian Foster on a short pass. He ran it for 11 yards, but he was just shy of the first down. It was now 4th and 1 on the 38. And so they lined up, and it ended up being an encroachment penalty against Jacksonville, as the Jaguars continue to shoot themselves in the foot in this game. So now it's first down for the Texans on the 33. Fitzpatrick ran for 5 yards. Blue ran for 2. Now on 3rd and 3, an incomplete pass will bring out Randy Bullock for a 44-yard field goal attempt. It was up. It was good. And the Houston Texans now extended their lead to 14. 2 touchdowns with the score. Houston 27, Jacksonville 13. So now the Jacksonville Jaguars had the ball with 8.5 minutes on the clock. They had it on their own 20. Blake Bortles went to Lewis. He picked up 35 yards in the first down at the Houston 45. They then went to the no-huddle. Blake Bortles then went to Hurns. He picked up 16 yards in the first down at the 29. Still in the no-huddles. Blake Bortles scrambles for 4 yards, but it's a penalty offensive holding. And so they said, hey, why are we in the no-huddle? They slowed it down, and they actually were faced with the 4th and 20. And after Blake Bortles was actually sacked on 3rd down by Reed, and on 4th and 20 from the 39, Bortles hit Gerhart and he picked up 3 yards as the Jacksonville Jaguars turned the ball over on downs, and the Texans took over with 5.5 minutes left in this game on their own 36. They ended up picking up a first down on 3rd and 6 from the 40 when Arian Foster ran for 14 yards to move the ball across midfield to the Jacksonville 46, but the drive stalled on the 45, and so they would end up punting the ball back to Jacksonville. Jacksonville now had the ball pinned up against their own end zone on the 5-yard lines, down by 2 touchdowns. They needed to go 95 yards for a score, and they wouldn't even come close, as the furthest they would go would be their own 16. They only made it 11 more yards, and they would end up turning the ball over on downs when Blake Bortles hit Sanders, and he only picked up 9 when they needed 10, as DJ Swearinger was there for the stop to seal the victory and shut the door on Jacksonville with the 2-minute warning. And now Houston, all they had to do was take 3 knees, as Jacksonville had no timeouts. Fitzpatrick lined up in the victory formation. Boom, knee, boom, knee, boom, knee. This game is over. Houston wins. Final score, Houston 27, Jacksonville 13. And with the win, the Texans are now 7-6, 4-3 on the road. Jacksonville's 2-11, 2-5 at home. The Texans are still in the playoff hunt. They're right there fighting for a wild card. We'll see what happens. But they definitely did themselves a favor by winning this game in Jacksonville. And it's easier said than done, but they did it. And just as a comparison, there's teams that have gone there, like, say, Cleveland. They didn't do it. But Houston did it, and that could end up being the difference, and maybe a tiebreaker possibly. We'll see. Who knows? It all depends on what happens in the next 3 weeks. But in this game, Ryan Fitzpatrick, 13 for 19, 135 passing yards. He also rushed for 19 yards off of 8 carries. And Arian Foster, he was 24 for 127 and went on the ground. He had a rushing touchdown as well to be the game's leading rusher. He also had 21 yards receiving off of 2 receptions. Blake Bortles was 20 for 39 with 205 yards passing. He had 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He also rushed for 10 yards off of 3 carries. Denard Robinson, he threw 1 pass that didn't complete, but he had 10 carries for 30 yards on the ground. As the Texans stopped, and that's a tough defense to have to run against. And the leading receiver in this game was for Jacksonville, as Mercedes Lewis had 3 receptions for 69 yards, and Marquise Lee had 5 receptions for 67 yards. Allen Hurns had 5 receptions for 36 yards. And DeAndre Hopkins was the leading receiver for the Texans with 4 receptions for 49 yards. So it was all Arian Foster on offense, as he was getting it done for Houston, and their defense shut down Jacksonville. The game's leading tackler was Jonathan Cyprian. For Jacksonville, he had 8 tackles. The leading tackler for the Texans was a Mike Muhammad. He had 7 tackles. The Texans had 4 sacks. 1 sack for Reed, and not 2, but 3 sacks for J.J. Watt. And he also had 4 tackles for losses, and he also was just hitting the quarterback. He hit the quarterback 5 times. He was like, "Will you stop hitting me?" Blake Bortles, he was like, "Welcome to the NFL, Blake Bortles." Blake Bortles was like, "Will you stop hitting me?" But no, JJ wouldn't stop. Neither would the Texans' defense. Swearinger had the game's only interception. Jacksonville actually had 2 sacks. Derek Marks had 1.5 sacks to go with his 3 tackles. The other half sack was Smith for Jacksonville. The final score in this one, Houston 27, Jacksonville 13.